See a day a little more like June.
Okay, Marilyn, keep going. Okay, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. We're here. Marilyn Garshowitz is here. Marilyn, let's talk about the brutal truth.
Well,
I know it's a serious topic. I know that
it's
you.
very serious.
We know each other a little bit. I keep
Yes.
running into you everywhere, and we have fun when we get
Yes,
together. But
I
we're
love
talking
it.
about a very serious topic, right?
Yes.
Today we are talking about the roots of bullying, which is a big part of your book and your message. And it's also very apropos because every time I turn on the news lately, there's another story about a child being bullied or somebody in university being bullied to the point where they take their own lives. This is a serious problem. We need to talk about it and we need to address it. And so tell us where it all starts. What's the roots of bullying, Marilyn?
Well, I think before I talk about the roots, I think I need to make it clear about bullying because it's much larger than bullying in the schoolyard or on the websites with the kids. They talk about cyberbullying now. But the issue that it's with young kids, so very young now, killing themselves, that's a lot of the media of late. People are concerned, but if you really want to address that issue, you're going to have to understand bullying is much more than with the children. It's in the workplace. It's with the judges and lawyers and otherwise. And I do mean the misuse of power of anyone to another. And you need to understand. So we're going to have domestic violence. And if everyone can understand bullying and misuse of power collectively, that is the issue we're talking about, then you can understand the seriousness of the nature and bring all that energy, all that synergy, so we can take the identification of the problem and go towards a solution. And I really want it just to be more than just talking about the problem, although it does start with that. It's very important to start with talking about it and identifying it correctly. So the roots, so now that we understand that whether we're talking about bullying in the schoolyard, workplace harassment, misuse of power from the judges or lawyers or otherwise, now we can lead into where it's all coming from, and that is the government and its legal system through social norms and faulty laws. It's a systemic problem. Systemic, by its word, means there's a number of levels to it. Roots, you have to look at a whole bunch of things. You can't just say one thing. You have to look at all the elements. It's systemic. So you have to go deep and look at it. So you have a government and a system in place that allows this and perpetuates it for their reason, to maintain the status quo. They're in positions of power. So then you have to look at certain things that the social norms and the faulty laws that allow this behavior to continue. So our society will re-victimize the victim. It's a victim-blaming mentality. And when you have that ideology, that is going to create the problem because you're not dealing with the problem properly. You're dealing with the victim. You're not addressing the bully. And it's going to have the ramifications of such. It's going to get worse, not better, because you're not dealing with the problem correctly. So it's very, very serious. And of course, we've been taught not to question authority. And there comes the problem again, another social norm.
Didn't Abby Hoffman try to change that?
There's a lot of people trying to change it, but it's going to take more than one person. This is how you get solutions. A lot of people are addressing the issues, but it's going to take a lot of people. And a lot of people are doing it. That's what's happening with the shift right now.
What shift?
There's a shift occurring,
Where?
in the entire world. This is a global issue. You know that. You're being funny with me again, you.
Yeah, I don't know if I am because, I mean, people talk about a shift, right?
Yes.
People talk about, well, I don't know what you call a shift, but that people's...
The collective consciousness, the change.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
So on
Different
the
names for it.
one hand, people are talking about that. On the other hand, we've got, it seems to me, hey, we just got a new war in Libya, just started a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the federal government bringing in all kinds of new draconian laws and, G20 police state activity going on. Like, is it getting better or is it getting worse?
Well, we're actually saying, no, we will not let this happen, and that means it's getting better. What happened in Egypt, I go into all these aspects around the world because you have to bring the micro and the macro, and then go back and forth again when you're dealing with a systemic problem. So it's being addressed. People are saying in Egypt, they actually had their president run away, and he misused his power, no question. In fact, if you look where that started from, that one situation that led to that, a young man, I don't know his specific age, but he was, I forget, being entrapped by a police officer, a female police officer, and if he wanted to have his booth there, and he was supporting a family of 8.
This is in Tunisia, right? I think it was in
in
Tunisia, and then
Egypt,
it spread to
yes.
Egypt,
or-
yes.
Yeah.
And so on the internet, they managed to have pull their energy together to say, we're going to stop that, because he ended up dying out of the situation. Because he said, it's enough. You can't be doing this behavior. It's wrong. And people aren't addressing it sufficiently so. But that's happening here in Canada, and people boast how great Canada is. But we have all these problems at home.
I know, but fortunately we've also got fluoride in the water, so we don't do anything about it.
Yeah, but we have to address the fluoride too. You know, there's all these issues that we have to address, and I know you do tongue-in-cheek comments.
Mwah.
Yes.
Yes.
You're so cute. But you know, it's hard to make a conversation like this be taken seriously, and yet to have an audience here, because it's so harsh. Because the concepts, the issues that I bring up, well, we're talking about questioning authority. Well, one of the things that is very difficult, we're talking about when a parent, sexually abuses a daughter, or a priest. We're taught, we don't even want to talk about these things.
But we do talk about it because it's on TV more and more every day. And the victims are coming forward and they're sharing their stories and they're going public. And we know that there's a lot of abuse done in high positions, whether it's a priest and I guess a choir boy, or if it's in a corporate environment, or if it's in a government environment. Seems to be a lot more systems of checks and measures and a lot more eyes watching than there used to be.
The eyes are actually pretending they're watching and being vocal about it, but a lot are not. A lot are having a false pretense with what they're doing. And that's what I'm finding. I'm actually having people, I went past my book and founded an organization of the same name, The Brutal Truth, to continue this work, because you don't do it all in one book. You have to keep, it's bringing the synergy, being loud, and keep this work going. And I find that it's the same problem. You go to the authority that's supposed to help you, or the department that's supposed to help you, and they end up helping the other department that's actually abusing you, and they stick together. It's like they're sleeping together. So then you've heard about lawyers and judges, they're one big family, and they're just maintaining their own power and that whole system. And if you break it down, but there are solutions. I don't want to be all negative. You're right. Things are changing. They are getting better. And that's why I say to you, Hugh, there is a shift happening. Things are occurring. There are people who, prepaid legal, for example, are doing things. They created their business to help give an opportunity for people who wouldn't have the money necessarily to get the proper representation, because there really is not fair and integrity in our legal system. And so people are trying to address the faulty situation.
What about police? Are they doing more? What about youth workers? What about communities that we turn to for protection of women, of children? What about teachers?
Yeah, when you're talking about groups, you have people who do well in the group, who have that position and have tried to. So some are just evil. Some are misusing their power, and they go into that position to misuse their power. Some get caught in the makeup design of that organization, and to maintain having an income, they get stuck doing that. Some fight it, some leave. There's all sorts of variations of the same thing. But I was a correctional officer with young offenders. I was also a financial advisor. I left home young, so I had the experience of seeing how it is in group homes. I have friends in all sorts of different levels and positions, and some do and they can tell me stories of who's doing and who's not doing, who's abusing their power. People who are making a difference and who are trying to, and others who are saying, it's not my jurisdiction and I'm not doing anything. There are police officers, in fact, there's a lot of police chiefs who are trying to organize and take a stand that what's going on in the legal system is just disgusting and it has to change. They're making a very strong stand saying we can't let it continue like this. There's all sorts, but we have to bring all the groups together, from teachers to all of this. There's so much change that has to happen, and you've got to look at, so why isn't it changing faster? Because it is. Why is it not going
And maybe
faster?
the real question too is how come they were given so much power to begin with?
Actually, some of them weren't supposed to have so much power. How did they manage to get away with it? How did that fear? And actually, you talked about it again when you were talking about with the marketing. We're consumed by having. And our capitalist society, it's part of the system.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we're teaching our kids the same.
That's right. Our whole system needs to be redesigned. And it's not an easy task. And people say you can't do it. It's always been like this. Every war has always been about someone wanting or someone being jealous and putting another down. But when you have a society that doesn't want to work on a justice, and it's just about maintaining finances for the power, the people in power, whatever, be it the judges at their power level or the people with the money. There's different ways to look who's having the power in our
Well,
society.
do you believe, though, that since the dawn of time, misuse of power, bullying, has been an inherent part of society? I'm asking this because, there's even been books written about this, and it kind of boils down to, the strongest, Darwin's theory, the strongest will survive, the most fit will survive. Even in, the ancient world kingdoms, there was always usurping of power, people making themselves king by bullying the tenant farmer. So I guess I'm asking you, is this an inherent part of the society? And what if anything, can then be done to take it away? Because it seems like, to a point, it has been going on since the dawn of time, right?
I certainly am not going to argue that. I would say it would, but there's always been stories where there's been triumph from, who's that little guy and that big giant? David and Goliath.
Yes.
There's all sorts. I mean, every war that's fought. I mean, you look at Israel. I can't help use that as an example, who's always been having people attacking, and it's just a little thing compared to everyone around.
That's true.
And it's surviving.
Yeah.
More than just surviving. It gives so much.
Thriving.
It contributes to the world in so many ways.
Well, I think that we always, there's a sympathy for the underdog, whatever the underdog is. I don't think people like or enjoy watching others get totally, victimized or stepped on or what have you. Maybe there's a small segment of the population that does enjoy watching the brutality of others. But we also have something in North American society, particularly U.S., where there's a triumph for fighting for the underdog. And maybe it's that sentimentality that we're going to see the change arise from.
I think it's out of necessity too. We're traveling, as things develop over time, there's in a sense, in my feeling, getting worse. Where if we don't change our path, we are on self-destruct, because the misuse of power also goes into the level of society where we're talking about environment. And so if we've misused we had responsibilities. It wasn't about getting. We had jobs to do to take care of everybody. And everyone had to get, we were all supposed to take care of each other and take care of doing what all had to get done. And it wasn't getting done. So now people are starting to realize this is not a very good world. And it always hasn't been. There's always been slaves in every culture. And every ism is an excuse, just an excuse to put another down, to make them better, to have more. I get that, but I can't. See, me personally, I have such a drive for this because I was left for dead. I was abused so much in my life from so many people who were supposed to take care of me that I got very sick. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's so disabling. And I'm still really, I present so well that you don't know necessarily what a difficult time I'm having in life and the miracles that happen so that I can continue. But it was kill them, kill me, or write the book, and you don't write a book like this without getting it out there. I have to try and make a difference. And there are tons of people, tons of organizations, more and more all the time, because it can change, and you have to believe that it can. And you at least have to try.
But what is the real solution, Marilyn? Because you can't, you know, you're talking about the misuse of power and bullying, right? So you can't be a bully back, because that's not really changing the problem. That's just becoming part of the problem.
So that's why I just can't kill everyone, because that's a lot of dead people. So what do? So you educate. When you're telling me that I have to let someone do what they do to me, actually, you know what? If someone's raping me, I do have a right to kill them. And that's what we're not being taught. You're allowed to kill the person who's raping you. People need to be taught it's okay to do that. People are told you're not allowed to. You're actually, for example, let's move back to the child again, and on an easier level.
Yes.
Who's bullied in the school.
Yes.
They're kept in from school, or they're punished, or often more penalized by the teacher some way, either from not getting to go out for recess. But the child who's the bully is not getting focus, is not on there in their bad behavior. That has to change. That's a real step. When the boss is misusing his power, he needs to be ousted from his position. When the legal, that's right, not promoted. In our society, those behaviors, those negative behaviors, those psychopathic, sociopathic behaviors are actually promoted, and they are actually promoted in their jobs, in society, and the victims are just sacrificed, left, right, and center.
Well, yeah. But did you see the other day on the television, they had a story about a young boy in the United States who was being bullied, and he was a big, heavy child, but he was being bullied by a little skinny child.
I saw that.
And then the big guy fought him back, and the bully cried victim and ran away and said he was being bullied, but in fact it was a retaliation from the bigger boy because he had been bullied first.
Yeah.
But that's my point, though, is that a proper way of handling the situation? Because essentially now they're both bullies.
No, he wasn't a bully, because it wasn't. That's why you have to understand who's the bully. See, if you'd know he wasn't. I can use the example for the first short story I have in my second book coming out, and it was also in the school system. And it was a boy who was actually being taunted for years, and the teachers did nothing. And not just taunted, but incredibly bullied for 3 years or more, and assaulted. There's physical assaults being done to him. And the day of his birthday, he actually was again assaulted by, and one of the bullies was a girl who was right at the top for bullying. And she ran into the school to the principal, and this whole thing got turned around on him, because when he had just got whipped on his birthday that one time, he snapped and he said, I'm gonna whatever, shoot you or kill you or whatever he said. Doesn't matter, because they just all put the focus on him. They lied, they didn't talk, they made out that there was no 3 years of complaints with the abuse that they didn't address. They wait till the person snaps. They just expect the people who are bullied, to take the abuse over and over and over again, and then blame them when they do something. That is not being a bully when you protect yourself. It is a bully when a person goes up to you and shoves you and starts attacking you for no reason, or for a reason which is not in protection of self. That is wrong. There's two different things. So that person, by you identifying that person, that big boy who ended up doing that, and the other one running in and saying he was the one, that's not an accurate description.
No, it's not. I understand that the big boy was really just, fighting back and
the whole situation.
And he really was victimized. But my question is, do you fight fire with fire, or
Sometimes
do you ignore the situation and just take the high road and walk away?
No, you don't walk away, because then you get your things stolen from you. That's what our society teaches. Just let them have it. Just forgive them. Just forgive them. And you can't. You can't just let that go on in our society, because it makes it so that the bad people have. So you've actually taught me, if I want to have, then I have to be mean and nasty and not caring.
So that's what I'm asking you. Do you have to stoop to the level to get it?
It's not stooping. There's another way. We have to think bigger than that. It's going and addressing the bully. The people who are in positions of authority, who are supposed to deal with the problem, have to deal with it properly. They don't. They blame the victim.
Okay.
That is what
Why
has to
don't
change.
they deal with it properly? Is it because they want to win a popularity contest?
The society has been taught wrong. Some of them, they don't want to lose their jobs because they're bullies at the top. They have been taught. It's been taught over and over. We have to reteach all of society how to behave.
How are we going to do that, Marilyn? In one sentence, because we're just out of time here. You know, I know you got you going here now, right? But in one sentence,
she makes some good point.
How do we do it? How do we fix it?
Well, it's the synergy of everyone coming together and teaching correctly. Education is key.
Okay, all right.
And maybe also not accepting the way, you know, the power is changing it. Anyway, we have a giveaway of your book today, and it's worth $40 to the first caller in at 416-204-9723.
And what a great way to get started, right, Marilyn? Read the book. That's one way to get started to change all this. Also, I understand you're writing in this fabulous magazine, right? The Multicultural
It's a community
Journal.
Newspaper, yes.
Yeah, and you got an article in here, so people can pick this up too. And read,
do we have a website that you want to mention?
What you're saying.
TheBrutalTruth.ca.
Okay. And look forward to more of your talks and more of your writings. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me again.
You're going to have to come back.
Okay, so I guess...
We just got you going there. Now you're going to have to just...
We're a little over time today, but...
Thanks to you, Jeanette.
No, it's also thanks to you.
At least we found out about your love life.
We've had some great conversations and great information shared today. Thank you all for being with us. I just want to mention that I will be back on April 11th. That'll be the second Monday instead of the third Monday next month. That is my 1-year anniversary show with Liquid Lunch, and I've got a very special show planned with some amazing guests, including Rose Reisman coming in.
That's unbelievable.
Yes, and there's more, and I look forward to being back.
Is she going to feed us that day?
I don't know.
With her fabulous pickled barrel
I can't believe I spent a year already here with you as co-host and doing the Magnetic Marketing Moment.
It seems like only a few weeks.
I know. So anyway, we look forward to seeing you next time. And for anybody who didn't call in yet, I did have that giveaway too today, that one free session of any course that you want on my Magnetic Marketing Femtor
Can
Circle
they email
group
you as well for that?
They can.
What's
Jeanette
the email?
at yourmarketingmagnet.com, and that's JANETTE at yourmarketingmagnet.com. And I think we're closing out at
we're way over time.
2:15 today.
Over. Okay, we're going to have to spend a lot of time in editing. Anyway, thanks, Jeanette.
Okay.
Thanks, Marilyn.
So sorry.
What?
It's not my fault.
Don't
it's
you
not
be...
my fault.
Come on, we gave you full time. You know, we went over
time
just for you,
so.
Marilyn. Anyway.
You got a full half an hour.
Okay.
Got a lot of info out.
Okay, bye, everybody. That's it for the show. We'll see you tomorrow at noon for more Liquid Lunch right here on ThatChannel.
In the year 1907, our hockey game was young. The Stanley Cup was something just the lucky few had won. The Eastern teams retained it till Montreal went down at the hands of 7 skaters from a tiny western town. The other teams played dirty, the Thistles kept it clean.